According to a poll conducted by Health Day researcher Amanda Gardner, 58% of born-again believers believe that embryonic stem cell research is not morally wrong. In a society where more than half of the professing Christians, believe that embryonic stem cell research is okay, the remnant of Christians who still value human life need to take a stand against this immoral practice. I believe that human life begins at conception, and I have consulted other credible sources throughout my research and have come to the conclusion that embryonic stem cell research raises moral problems that Christians need to stand against in order to demonstrate that God values the sanctity of human life that begins at conception. Christians are morally responsible to stand against embryonic stem cell research because 1. Embryonic stem cell research destroys human embryos. 2. Embryonic stem cell research destroys human life. And 3. Embryonic stem cell research ignores that God is the creator of human life. To begin, I'd like to start with my first point. Embryonic stem cell research destroys human embryos. According to Dr. Del Oro, who is an associate professor at Loyola Marymount University, the process of extracting stem cells from human embryos cannot be accomplished without destroying human embryos. Even President George W. Bush, in a speech that he gave in 2005 on this subject, recognized that embryonic stem cell research cannot be accomplished without destroying human embryos. This brings me to my second point. Embryonic stem cell research destroys human life. According to the Center for Bioethics and Human Dignity, the reason that people should value human embryos is because they are human beings. No matter what stage of development they're in, they are created by God in His image. From a secular viewpoint, Dr. William Hurlbut, who was a professor in bioethics and neuroscience at Stanford University and advocate against embryonic stem cell research, stated in regard to human embryos, it in no circumstance is the intentional destruction of the life of an innocent individual deemed morally acceptable. This brings me to my third point. Embryonic stem cell research ignores that God is the creator of human life. Here is a picture of a handful of sugar. At conception, the human embryo is about the size of 1 grain of sugar. No wonder society views embryos as small and insignificant. However, if they stopped and compared their own lives to the universe in which they live, they would realize that they themselves are small and insignificant. Here's a picture of Earth. Now, when we compare our lives to Earth, to the world in which we live, we realize that we are but a dot on the globe, and we can't even be seen. Let's take it a step further. Here's the Milky Way, the galaxy in which Earth is located, and right about the tip of the arrow is where Earth is. It's so small that we can't even see it. And the Milky Way is only one of at least hundreds of billions of other galaxies that make up our known universe. And compared to God, who created all of this, we are small, minuscule, and insignificant, and completely unviable apart from His sustaining grace each day. And so, in conclusion, Christians are morally responsible to stand against embryonic stem cell research because it destroys human embryos and thus destroys human life. This research ignores that God is the creator of human life. Embryonic stem cell research raises moral problems that Christians that each of you as Christians need to stand against in order to demonstrate that God values the sanctity of human life, which begins at conception. As Christians, we need to realize that the value of human life does not matter and is not based on size or viability, but upon the indescribable God who created us.